we have a short video around this book. May I request our team to kindly play that video so that we can get an idea of what's happening.
The infinite is not a place to reach, but a truth to remember that within you lies a horizon without end.
Please settle down. Namaskar. On behalf of India Foundation, I, Dr. Pawan Chaurasia, welcome you all for a book discussion on this wonderful book, Seeking the Infinite, Maha Kumbh 2025, by Shri Yakub Mathew, author and corporate leader. This event has been organized by India Foundation in collaboration with India Habitat Center. To discuss this wonderful book with the author, we have an eminent panelist who I would like to invite. We have Ms. Advaita Kala, author and screenwriter. We have Haji Sayyid Salman Chishti, Gaddi Nashin Ajmer Sharif and chairperson of Chishti Foundation, and Elder Kelly R. Johnson, General Authority 70 of the Church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. May I request all the panelists to kindly come to the stage along with the author. Ms. Advaita will be joining us shortly. Please. I would also request Captain Alok Bansal, Executive Vice President of India Foundation, to kindly come to the dais and join us. I request Captain Alok Bansal to kindly carry forward the proceedings. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of India Foundation, India Habitat Center discussion, which we organize every month. So today's discussion is very unique, though we do a book discussion every month, but this is definitely unique because the book, Seeking the Infinite, is quite different from the type of books that we have been discussing. It's actually a coffee table book. It talks about subjects which about Maha Kumbh. And Maha Kumbh in Hindu mythology is a very, very significant event. And I don't think so I need to educate this audience as to what the relevance of Maha Kumbh is. But it is the largest recurring human congregation on the earth. And that factor, I think, is acknowledged. And as unique the book is, equally unique is the author. Okay? See, Yakub Mathew is a financial wizard. And he's delving into spirituality and talking about Kumbh. It's a very unique combination, actually. A Delhi-based, one who was educated in Delhi, settled in New York, and looking at Kumbh, a born Christian, so looking into something which is quite different. And I always believe some things can best be analyzed in perspective. So there could be nothing better than somebody who's based in New York, not driven by faith alone, looking at this congregation of people. So without wasting much time, today we have a great panel, and one of our panelists will be joining us shortly. But without wasting much time, I'll request Yakub to kindly delve and tell us what he feels about the book, why he wrote this book, whatever he has to say. 10 to 15 minutes, that's the time that I'll allocate. Thank you so much.
Check. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to each one of you for coming on a working day. It's not easy to come here in the midst of all this traffic and be part of this celebratory occasion for this book. When one looks through Seeking the Infinite, Maha Kumbh 2025, one realizes that it's a bit more than a coffee table book. The more you look through it, the more it reveals. So best is to read out something which I just received from a gentleman who I really don't know, but he purchased a book, and his name is Mr. Sharan, Mr. Adarsh Sharan. So Adarsh Sharan picked up this book and then sent me a note. And he says, this is something very special, and it has so many intellectuals with unbounded knowledge in such diverse backgrounds, have encapsulated their inner thoughts in the little space that you have allotted them, just like diamonds in pinpoints. However, it's not the glittery of the cover. It's not the pages which have been so well choreographed. It's not the paper. It's not any of that glossy part of it. It's the message. It's the kind of sort of learning value that this book has given different people, different readers. It's rare that a birthday celebration with a bunch of chosen friends should produce such an impactful event and result. The book transcends any travelogue and serves as an inner pilgrimage towards peace, truth, and transcendence. So Mr. Sharan keeps writing, it honors the divine with us, all bridging faiths and cultures through the sacred lens of the Maha Kumbh. The book is a victory of our motherlands, India's deep and non-discriminatory spiritualism across the globe. So, as that gentleman wrote whatever he wrote, he doesn't know who I am, he wrote from his heart, and he has been a CEO of many of the Thapar industry group. So now, I'll tell you a few things of the book, is that Alokji mentioned that he was a person who probably didn't have a need to come here to India. I've been 40 years in New York, and it was my 60th birthday, and all I wanted was to make it something memorable. And I always believed in that it should be something out of the box. And for that reason, I asked my wife, isn't it a good idea to spend some time on this birthday with the gods? So she said, where are the gods? So I said, my Hindu friends and brethren say the gods are at the Holy Triveni. So she said, oh, you're going for the Kumbh Mela? I said, yes, I'm going for the Kumbh Mela. And we did our bookings. It was so easy. The trip was so well organized. And all I know is Indigo got us there. And the facilities were outstanding with all these tents and very comfortable facilities. So I said, there's something, when you reach the top of the mountain, yeah, it's a beautiful view. But what's the use of it when you can't share it with your friends? The occasion becomes happier when you take people with you. My mother was a school teacher, and she always told me, when you have abundant son, you must share it. So I invited my friends. So myself and my wife and 17 of our friends from all over the world, from Sao Paulo to London to Milan, Los Angeles, San Francisco, many of them, they joined us. And all I can say is the whole experience was ethereal. And when this 2 nights and 3 days got over, one of our friends mentioned, hey, that was Moksha Priya, she's sitting right here. She mentioned that you must try and capture this moment for your grandchildren and children. So anyway, first of all, I'm not a writer, so I'm neither a filmmaker. So I said, I don't have those abilities. And I just brushed this aside and went. So all I can say is the book, in the end, was produced. And there's a lots of grace in this book. It is not something which was planned. I'm an accidental author. And in the end of it, all I know is this book is not one man's doing. There's a lot of people who have contributed this book. First of all, I'll thank the 19 people who joined me. And many of them are present here. I'll name a few. There's Anjum Nath. Stand up, Anjum. Nilima Adhar, Moksha Priya, Sachit Soni, and have I missed anybody else? And Sachit Soni is there. So we were 19 of us, and we came, we enjoyed. Other than that, such a book also needs a bit of a professional touch. So I had the editors. They were Kaveri Bamzai. Kaveri is coming. She must have got stuck in traffic, and Soresh Bhattacharya. So Kaveri and Soresh were great resources. And we had Jyoti Singh. Jyoti, are you here? She's a creative genius who planned the sort of presentation of the book. Then we had a great photographer who came by some divine grace. His name was Bandeep Singh. Bandeep, what can I say? He did the cover of the book, and the cover of the book is one of a kind. It's this man standing, and he's got a Naga sadhu who's trying to seek the infinite. And Bandeep, of course, was there on the 1st of March. And then we also had a photograph cleaner, and his name is Narwal. And we had Narendra, who is a filmmaker who did the videos. And how can I forget Anika Singh? Every time I forget her, but she was my co-traveler who did a lot for this book. So thank you, all of you all who were part of this book. So now, all I can say is the book basically has a good title called Seeking the Infinite. So the question was, who is this infinite? What are these people going there for? They all were seeking something, and as Alok mentioned, it's 660 million people. It's the largest gathering on earth. The Western world doesn't know about it. And they look at Mardi Gras, they look at Burning Man, but this could be like the Burning Man of India. There you get probably 10 million people. It's made such a big noise. So when this gathering of hundreds of millions of people who have come into a very sort of state which has its own challenges, it's a sort of a crowd which is generally disorderly. But when they come to the Kumbh and they immerse themselves, they are all very orderly. So I also went there, and I just went out of curiosity. I didn't go out of any sort of compulsion. And in that, many questions came to me, that what are these people trying to do? So I saw the faith, the power of faith, bhakti mein shakti. And then I started asking questions. What are these people going into this water? May not be the cleanest water. Are they trying to get something called moksha? What is this moksha? What is salvation? All these Abrahamic relations, whether it's Islam has Jannat, we Christians have salvation, the Jews have a whole state of Israel to rise up. It's together. It's not individual. It's not personal, that religion. So Those sort of questions came out. Who is this Almighty? Who am I? What's my purpose? What's my path? And then I said, this is such a very complex topic. This is not something which a Yakub Mathew can decipher that simply. And we have to do it very simply. So, I'm a person who has known a lot of people globally. I asked many sort of renowned minds, right from cardinals. The foreword is written very interestingly by Sadhguru, the cardinal who was supposed to be Pope, Cardinal Gracias. Then we have Avdesh Nandagiriji, who was the organizer of the Kumbh, a great man. And then we had Muzaffar Ali, Mind, Moksha and Matter. And then we had Shashi Tharoor, Finding Out the Sacred in One Another. And then we had Anupam Kher on Sanatan Dharam. So these were 5 or 6 people writing what they felt, and each page is a catalyst. Each page as you go just tickles you into asking questions yourself. In the end of it, we had 55 luminaries in the field of religion, leadership, business, politics, Bollywood, Hollywood, and all sorts of interesting people. And they gave us glimpses of the infinite when nobody knows the full truth. So, this book has no conclusion. Ultimately, nobody knows the full truth. But it gives you some sort of a curiosity to be a seeker. So, having said all this, there's a lot of people to thank. And finally, without crossing the 10 minutes, I would say the top of the mountain in the end was not lonely. It was comfortably crowded. And I'll quote something which was the back cover of this book, which says, and I leave you with this thought, the infinite is not a place or a destination to reach. It is within you, a horizon without end. Thank you very much. Enjoy this evening. We have a fantastic panel. It'll be very interesting.
Thank you, Yakub. This book is actually a phenomenal book. It has various global thinkers who have actually presented Kumbh. And it has been presented as a powerful symbol of humanity, a shared quest for meaning and transcendence. And we had thought that we'll get religious leaders from different faiths to talk about this particular book. And one of the persons who we were actually hoping to get was Swami Chidanand Saraswati of Parmarth Niketan, who heads the Parmarth Niketan, which is, as you know, one of India's largest spiritual institutions. And he was very keen to come. Unfortunately, he at this point of time is running a yoga camp where large number of foreign participants are there at Rishikesh. So he has not been able to come physically, but he has sent a message, which I feel that before I request other panelists to respond, you all should see. I'll request you to play the video.
आज एक बहुत प्यारे सब्जेक्ट पर सीकिंग द इन्फिनिट, अनंत की खोज, अद्भुत नाम, अद्भुत पुस्तक। ये केवल शब्दों का संग्रह नहीं, बल्कि मुझे तो लगता है अनंत की ओर बढ़ती हुई आध्यात्मिक यात्रा है। श्री याकूब जी मैथ्यू द्वारा लिखित ये कृति मुझे लगता है कि पाठकों को उस दिव्य अनुभूति से परिचित कराएगी जिससे उन्होंने अपनी पत्नी शिल्पा जी के साथ महाकुंभ की पवित्र धारा में स्वयं अनुभव किया। मुझे लगता है कि ये अनुभव केवल एक तीर्थ यात्रा नहीं, बल्कि जागरण, जीवन और सत्य की खोज की गहन साधना है। आज मुझे आप सबके बीच होना था। हमारे प्रिय राष्ट्र के एक ऐसे महान सपूत जिनका जीवन मैं ना जाने कितने वर्षों से देख रहा हूँ, पूरे राष्ट्र को समर्पित है। ऐसे राम माधव जी को मैंने बताया क्योंकि परमार्थ निकेतन ऋषिकेश में इंटरनेशनल योग फेस्टिवल, जिसमें विश्व के लगभग 80 देशों के लोग और अनेकों देशों के एम्बेसडर्स पधार रहे हैं, आ गए हैं काफी लोग। तो मैं आदरणीय राम माधव जी से बात की, बताया कि इस संकट का समाधान आप ही निकालें, और उन्होंने आत्मीयता से इसे समझा और कहा कि कोई बात नहीं, हम आपको याद करेंगे, साथ रहेंगे। आज इस अवसर पर हाजी सलमान चिश्ती साहब, रे जॉनसन, कैप्टन आलोक बंसल जी, सब लोग यहाँ पर हैं, और आप सब जितने भी उपस्थित विद्वत वृंद सभी यहाँ पर हैं। उन सबको मेरी ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं। मुझे विश्वास है कि इस पुस्तक के प्रत्येक पृष्ठ से जीवन के गहरे प्रश्नों की प्रतिध्वनि सुनाई देगी, मैं कौन हूं। मैं कल चर्चा कर रहा था, इतने देशों के जो लोग आए तो उनका एक प्रश्न होता है कि क्या यहाँ वाईफाई भी है, स्ट्रॉन्ग वाईफाई है। तो मैं उनको एक ही बात कही मैंने, यस वी हैव ए वाईफाई, वी डू हैव ए वाईफाई एंड स्ट्रॉन्ग वाईफाई कनेक्शन, बट हियर वी आर नॉट ओनली फॉर वाईफाई, हियर वी आर फॉर वाई आई, टू नो दिस, टू फाइंड दिस क्वेश्चन कि वाई आई, हम लोग यहाँ क्यों आए हैं, जीवन का उद्देश्य क्या है, और वह अनंत सत्य क्या है जो हर हृदय में स्पंदित हो रहा है। ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वम यत् किंच जगत्याम जगत तेन त्यक्तेन भुंजीतः मागृतः कस्य सिद्धनम कोहम कस्त्वं कुतः याता कामे जननी को मे ताता इह संसारे खलु दुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे। इतने प्यारे प्यारे प्रश्नों का उत्तर जीवन पाने को उत्सुक है, ढूंढ रहा है, तलाश है, और मुझे लगता है इन्हीं गहन और गूढ़ प्रश्नों से युवा पीढ़ी को ये कृति, ये ग्रंथ अवगत कराएगा। विश्व के अनेक चिंतकों, आध्यात्मिक गुरुओं, आचार्यों और विद्वानों के विचारों से जो ये समृद्ध पुस्तक है, ये मुझे लगता है जीवन का बोध कराएगी, मानवता की वास्तविकता, पहचान, उसकी साझा चेतना और करुणा में जो निहित है उसका भी दर्शन कराएगी। ये कृति याद दिलाती है और दिलाती रहेगी कि जीवन की हर यात्रा, हर प्रश्न और हर खोज अंततः उसी अनंत प्रकाश की ओर ले जाती है जो हमारे भीतर ही विराजमान है। जब मन उस सत्य को छू लेता है ना, तब केवल उसे जिया नहीं जाता, बल्कि वो एक दिव्य अनुभूति बन जाती है। मैं तो बहुत छोटा था, 10 साल का था, इस मार्ग पर लगा। वैसे तो 8 साल से यात्रा शुरू हुई, लेकिन मैं आज 74 साल की आयु में पहुंचे बता सकता हूं, सचमुच जीवन धन्य है, प्रभु की कृपा है, प्रभु का आशीर्वाद है। वी आर जस्ट ए टाइनी टूल, ए वेरी लिटिल इंस्ट्रूमेंट। अपना अपना पार्ट प्ले करने के लिए हम सबको इस राष्ट्र की सेवा में लगना है। यही चेतना इस पुस्तक के माध्यम से जगे और यही अध्यात्म का सार है। राष्ट्र देवो भव, अपने राष्ट्र के प्रति समर्पित होकर देव भक्ति अपने अपने ढंग से करें, नो प्रॉब्लम, वर्शिप योर ओन बट रेस्पेक्ट ऑल। देव भक्ति अपने अपने ढंग से करें, लेकिन देश भक्ति सब मिलकर करें। जब हम शाम को गंगा जी की आरती करने के बाद परमार्थ निकेतन में गंगा के पावन तट पर आरती के तुरंत बाद देव भक्ति हुई, फिर जब देश भक्ति का ज्वार आता है, सब राष्ट्र गान गाते हैं। सच बताऊं, वहां का दृश्य ही अद्भुत हो जाता है, अद्भुत हो जाता है वहां का दृश्य। मैं एक बात और याद दिलाना चाहता हूं, पिछला चुनाव हुआ 2024 का, 64 करोड़ लोगों ने मतदान किया। सबसे पहले मतदान, फिर करेंगे जलपान, लेकिन इस और कितना लोगों को जगाना पड़ता है, तब जाते हैं लोग मतदान देने के लिए, जो कि हमारा प्राथमिक कर्तव्य है, लेकिन फिर भी हम लोग नहीं कर पाते। लेकिन कुंभ के मेले में मैंने देखा 2025 में मैं वहां था, संगम के तट पर, आपको पता है, कैन यू इमेजिन, 67 करोड़ 670 मिलियन पीपल, डिवोटीज, सब वहां पर आए। इतना बड़ा विशाल सैलाब, सागर भक्ति का, भक्तों का, और उसमें कोई किसी से आईडी नहीं पूछ रहा था। गंगा मैया भी, संगम भी किसी से नहीं पूछ रहा था। बस उस देश के संगम को देखने के लिए, उसमें डुबकी लगाने के लिए इतने करोड़ों लोग चले आए। बस यही है इस देश का अध्यात्म, यही है इस देश का संगम। बस संगम के तट से संगम बना रहे, उसके अनुभवों को भी इस पुस्तिका में हमारे याकूब मैथ्यू जी ने और शिल्पा जी की ढेर सारे अनुभवों ने पिरोया है। उनको मेरी ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं। आपकी लेखन यात्रा निरंतर जारी रहे, देश सेवा होती रहे, बस यही सबके प्रति शुभकामनाएं हैं। जय गंगे, जय भारत, जय विश्व।
I'll now invite someone who has actually traveled across the oceans to reach here. In fact, we have Elder Kelly R. Johnson, who's actually come all the way from Utah, United States, to participate in this discussion. Elder, as you know, is the higher level of priesthood in the Church of Latter-day Saints, as Mormons, as they are popularly known all over the world. So, and he is in the top echelons of the church hierarchy. He's part of the 70s actually, and his work emphasizes faith, service, and strengthening relationship across cultures. And he has been to India many a times. We are really grateful to him for taking time out to fly all the way from Utah in these turbulent times when many people are refusing to move around. So for taking time out and being here, I'll request him to kindly come.
It is an honor to be here this evening. We live in a time when technology, travel, and social pressures can connect us or divide us. Likewise, religion can connect us or divide us. Therefore, proactive dialogue regarding the powerful forces of religion is more important now than ever. I read every page of Yakub's book, Seeking the Infinite. Yakub's efforts to capture such a remarkable experience are impressive. Each picture is worth 1,000 words. Yakub's words and the words of other contributors are enlightening. I will share some of the insights I gained by immersing myself in this book. My comments will take on an interfaith perspective, with the primary emphasis being that we need to focus more on our commonalities and less on our differences. There is so much more that can draw us together than can divide us, but unfortunately, differences are too often the focus of our thoughts and conversations. I will state up front that the feelings I received from the book, Seeking the Infinite, were spiritual in nature. Even though I did not attend Maha Kumbh Mela, the events and feelings captured in the book reached into my soul in a positive and impactful way. I agree that the divine dwells in the manifestation of faith of all peoples, irrespective of religious affiliation. I also recognize the depth of faith and devotion to God found in India. This is my 19th trip to India in the past 4 years. I have met with fascinating people with deep-rooted faith and devotion. One of the fascinating aspects of Maha Kumbh is the unbelievable number of people that participate. This is an indication of India's culture and spiritual heritage. The sheer number of people and accommodations required for this many people in an event should mean that it would be very chaotic and overwhelming, and that peace and harmony could not be felt. Surely complaints and frustration would abound, but no, the participants were full of joy and gratitude to be there. Given Maha Kumbh is a journey towards love, peace, and worship, it transcends chaos. What a lesson. In my chosen faith, there are many examples of peace and wisdom gained even in crowds. Not of this size, but crowds of hungry and tired people. Seeking the divine replaces mortal discomforts such as hunger and thirst with spiritual nourishment. In Christianity, Christ taught that He is the bread of life, and that if we come to Him, we will never hunger, and as we believe on Him, we will never thirst. I was captivated to learn that the chants of Har Har Gange ring out during Maha Kumbh. As I understand it, this translates to mean, take away all my sins, Goddess Ganga. Clearly, those participating have a desire to be cleansed of their sin and impurities and past burdens. This cleansing brings spiritual growth and self-realization. The desire to be cleansed of sin is actually universal. There is something inside each of us that desires to be freed from sins of the past. Many religions have a similar concept. I lived in Thailand for 5 years, and in Buddhism, the annual Songkran festival represents a period of purification and renewal. Water is the primary symbol of the festival, used to wash away sins, bad luck, and negative energy, allowing people to start a new year fresh. In Christianity, this cleansing concept is known as baptism. In my faith, we believe that going down into the water shows our commitment to following Jesus Christ. But it is also symbolic of washing away our sins. In fact, Jesus Christ himself was baptized, going into the river, down under the water. Children of our faith sing a simple song regarding this. I know when I am baptized, I choose the Savior's way, and I will be forgiven as I turn to him each day. I want my life to be as clean as earth right after rain. I want to be the best I can and live with God again. But clearly at Maha Kumbh, there is a commitment to also conquer the inner self. The cleansing of the body with water has a deeper purpose, to cleanse our hearts and our soul. Conquering our hearts and inner self is a mighty challenge. Transforming myself into a better person so that I can make the world a better place is part of the quest of Maha Kumbh. Maha Kumbh is an opportunity for spiritual renewal. People of all religions should follow this example and constantly seek the opportunity for spiritual renewal. In the context of Christianity, there is a concept referred to as being born again. The idea is that through accepting the divine and committing to follow him, we become born again. We even become new creatures, putting off the old man and moving forward with renewed commitment to live lives consistent with God's teachings. Of significant interest to me is that Maha Kumbh transcends the boundaries of caste, creed, language, and nationality. The essence of divinity allows for all humanity to be embraced without discrimination and without divisiveness. The unity and harmony felt among unique and vastly different participants is really remarkable. My core beliefs include a strong belief that we are children of a loving God. If we are his children, then we are brothers and sisters. In this world, nationalities, religions, languages, and races receive much attention and create much division. In my religion, unity is achieved by following the two great commandments. First, love God with all our heart and soul and mind. Second, love our neighbors as ourselves. A great prophet and leader in my religion taught, and he commanded them that there should be no contention one with another, but they should look forward with one eye, having their hearts knit together in unity and love, one towards another. Yakub reflects on his experience as a chance to mull over questions such as, what is the purpose of life and existence, as well as the eternal question, who am I? I agree that each human should pause to reflect on these deep questions. In my religion, we put these same concepts into three specific questions of the soul. Where did I come from? Why am I here? And where will I go after I die? As I travel around the world, these three questions continue to trouble so many of my friends and associates. The lesson of Maha Kumbh is that each person should seek answers to these questions. Without pausing to contemplate these deep questions, they will remain a mystery. I find great power in a scripture verse that says, "Ask, and ye shall receive. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you." In conclusion, I believe a great lesson in Maha Kumbh is that we each need to find opportunities to seek the divine. One of my favorite verses of scriptures that shares the word of God is this: "Draw near unto me, and I will draw near unto you. Seek me diligently, and ye shall find me. Ask, and ye shall receive. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you." I am a believer that if we initiate a persistent effort to seek the infinite, we will find the divine. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Johnson. That was fascinating. Well, if there is one shrine which is revered across South Asia, from Sheikh Hasina to Benazir Bhutto, I think everyone comes and pays obeisance. This is the shrine of Khwaja Nizamuddin Chishti and Khwaja Azmer Sharif. In fact, we have the Gaddi Nashin, Haji Sayyid Salman Chishti, who has been with us many a times. And I'll now request him. I think he needs no introduction to this audience. I think we'll request him.
Adab, salam, namaskaram, satrikal, and greeting of peace. To everybody in the house, all our elders, brothers and sisters, and of course, our gratitude to India Foundation and Alok Saab, who's been very generous about the introduction. We have shared the stage in many parts of the world, across even Myanmar, from Goa to India, many places where we have served our nation. And of course, Yakub Saab, he has explained the inspiration which came to his heart. और मैं ये बात हमेशा कहता हूँ कि दिल से जो बात निकलती है वो असर रखती है, पर नहीं ताकत परवाज़ रखती है. तो ये दिल की बात है जो इनके दिल में उस रूहानी एहसास के साथ आया. और कुंभ जो अपने आप में एक ऐसी शख्सियत रखता है पूरी दुनिया में, और आज से नहीं बचपन से हमने कहानियाँ सुनी है कुंभ के बारे में कि जहाँ जो बिछड़े हैं वो मिलते हैं, और उसके साथ जो टूटे दिल हैं वो टूटे दिलों में मोहब्बत का नूर उतरता है. कुंभ की जब हम बात करते हैं तो लाखों करोड़ों लोग एक साथ मिलते हैं, और वहाँ ना जानते हुए भी एक दूसरे को जानना कोई अनिवार्य नहीं है. That's why we say knowing without knowing is the best of knowing. And that knowing comes to our heart from the divine. And when we talk about the essence of these such large religious gatherings, spiritual gatherings, it's always focused, as Alok Sahab has eloquently initiated the dialogue, that knowing thyself. In Islamic spirituality also, there is a hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he spoke about man arafu nafsuhu faqat arafu rabbuhu. Those who know themselves knows their Lord. So it's all come down to knowing thyself, because it says in the Holy Quran that we are closer to you than your jugular vein. And that's what all the scriptures, all the holy books, all the gurus, rishis, munis, Sufis, saints who have been there, who have walked this part of earth, our blessed Bharat, from centuries after centuries, when we talk about Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and we talk about Adi Shankaracharya, as he talked about Advaita and Vedanta, which is non-duality. And when we come to the land of Punjab, Baba Guru Nanak talk about Ek Onkara, Vahe Guru, and Ek Noor. And then we transcend to the land of Rajasthan and Ajmer Sharif, as Alok Sahab again talked about Ajmer Sharif, which is of course acknowledged around the world from last 800 years, 8 centuries. Whoever walked, came to Ajmer Sharif has experienced that profound oneness. And Khaja Garina has talked about the Chishti philosophy of Wahdat al-Wajud, which is again equivalent to Ek Noor, Vahe Guru and Advaita Vedanta, which is Wahdat al-Wajud is oneness of being, where you really transcend to that point of realization where you know that your purpose of creation is far bigger than what you are engaged into the materialistic world needs. That is, of course, part of life. But then we have to go beyond, and we never have to be part of the blind materialistic pursuits that we often take us away from the real purpose of our creation. So we extend our gratitude and prayers to all of you, the audience, wonderful audience here. And many of you, we have been together in many places. And at this time, we of course extend silent prayers of peace for the world peace. What is we are witnessing in last week and the few days, it is totally unprecedented. And I'm also lucky that today I've been able to break my fast. मैंने रोज़ा आप सबके साथ खोला अभी थोड़ी देर पहले 6:28 पे तो मैंने पानी पी के आपके सबके साथ रोज़ा खोला, तो उसके लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया और दुआएं. Coming back to the point that we are here, and of course it's a journey which Yakub Sahib has initiated through his own experience in the Kumbh, which millions and millions of people were together, and from New York to London to Delhi, and then of course Japan next, right? We talked about Japan, we'll be there. But also I would like to acknowledge here our very dear Excellency, Ambassador Manjeev Singh Puri Sahib, who's here in our audience, and he would, why I'm mentioning him is a special reason, because that's one of the reasons we are here together, कि दिवाई जो ऊपरी शक्तियाँ होती हैं वो हमें साथ लेके आती हैं कुछ करने के लिए और कुछ खिदमत अंजाम देने के लिए. Going back to 2012, it was the 800th Urs of Khaja Gharib Nawaz, a momentous occasion. We met in Washington and we discussed, we shared a proposal with Manjeev Saab and our permanent representative Hardeep Singh Puri Saab that time to have a gathering of unconditional love at the United Nations, honoring the sacred message of last 8 centuries. Things happened, we couldn't get the permissions, and delayed happened on that particular year when we had proposed. And then when the Urs actually happened, and it was of course many, over 1 million people came in. Exactly on the day of the Urs, I get a call from the United States number. Manjeev Singh Puri Sahab called. It was 4 a.m. India time. It must be afternoon. I said maybe he think that okay, we proposed something and didn't happen. So out of care and concern, he's extending a call for Urs Mubarak. But here he was. What he said was so profound, and I still remember word by word. The first thing when I picked up the call, Yakub Sahab, he said that Salman bhai, कोई ऊपरी शक्तियां काम कर रही हैं. पिछले साल आपने जो प्रपोजल दिया था उर्स का हम कर नहीं सके, लेकिन इस साल in 2012 November, India has got the presidency of the United Nations Security Council, which we have been trying for many years. And when you get the Security Council presidency, then we are free for a month to do whatever we want. And you are coming to New York with the Kawal, and we are doing the celebration of unconditional love. So that's really amazing that when the divine power, when divine longing and divine oneness, call us to serve, unprecedented things happen. And this book, Seeking the Infinite, as Alok Sahab said, this is not just a book. It's really a feeling which have been translated into words, and it's all with us. So when Yakub Sahab called me, that Salman bhai, I'm in New York and I'm putting together a book about Kumbh. Would you be agreeing to write an article? I said, I'll be more than honored and I'll be more than privileged to put together if any words of seva I can do. So it's an honor for us to write into this. Again, spirituality is something which we all are indebted to the divine creator. The message is very clear, oneness of being. And when we talk about all the Vedas and Shastra, when we talk about the Rig Vedas, and we talked about the different texts and the holy books in different faith, it all comes down towards human service. In Ajmer Sharif, we have been born and brought up by the teachings of unconditional love. Gharib Nawaz, one of the profound messages that if you want to be close to the Creator, अगर आपको उस ईश्वर के रब के करीब पहुंचना है, तो कुदरत की 3 सिफात को अपनी ज़िंदगी में उतारें. Develop the 3 attributes of nature into your being. What are these 3 attributes of nature? Sun like grace, सूरज जैसी शफकत, दरिया जैसी सखावत, river like generosity, और ज़मीन जैसी खातिर तवाज़ो, earth like hospitality. River like generosity, earth like hospitality, and grace, karuna, सूरज जैसी karuna, sun like grace. And that is something which is so profound that they never ask anybody's name, religion, nationality or language when these divine attributes, the natural attributes are serving us. इसीलिए दरबार में जो भी आते हैं हमें यही सिखाया जाता है कि एक तो सबसे पहले दरबार का जो लंगर है 800 साल से दैट इज प्योर वेजिटेरियन लंगर. हम उसमें अनियन और गार्लिक भी नहीं मिलाते ताकि जो हमारे जैन धर्म के भाई बहन वो भी लंगर आ सके, वो खिला सके. और उसके साथ साथ जब हम पूछते कि ना तो आने वालों का नाम पूछें, ना मज़हब पूछें, ना ज़बान पूछें, ना कोई, अगर आपको सवाल पूछना है तो एक सवाल पूछें कि हम आपकी क्या सेवा कर सकते हैं. अगर कोई ज़रूरतमंद आता है तो गो हैड एंड हेल्प देम. अगर आपके पास भी वो दुनियावी सरमाए नहीं है, इवन इफ यू डोंट हैव ऑल द वर्ल्डली रिसोर्सेज, गॉड हैज bestowed us these two hands, raise them and pray for them. So the elders always used to say कि दुआ से, जो हम दुआ करते हैं, और सेवा से किस्मतें भी बदलती हैं. Mark my word, I'm saying this very, very responsibly, and I always share this in some of the universities where I speak to the young people, कि दुआ से और सेवा से किस्मतें भी रोज बदलती हैं. अगर हम सेवा और दुआ करेंगे तो हमारी किस्मत में जो नहीं होगा वो भी हमें मिलेगा. बाज़ वक्त ये होता है, lot of time the youngsters, when they are into their colleges or universities, they go into huge depressions. And that is one of the challenge that we have, especially with our youths today. कि कोई भी छोटी बात होती है, उनको अच्छा जॉब नहीं मिला, अच्छी सैलरी नहीं मिली, they didn't get the grades, or even they didn't get engaged where they wanted to, they go into deep depression. Something is very, very clear, that दुआ से और खिदमत खल्क, सेवा से किस्मतें भी रोज़ बदलती हैं. So our nation, our blessed nation, India, is the land which has always turned the fate of the planet Earth. Since centuries, we have been the one who have been giving the directions to the world in serving humanity with unconditional love. And today, I think it's very much important and very much relevant. And one of the quotes of Maulana Rumi, I know there's a lot of time, I would like to hear Advaita ji also. She was just mentioning about something about Inventory and her own experiences there. And Maulana Rumi has talked about the value and importance of hope, कि उम्मीद. और हमारे देश भारत से बेहतर कौन सी सरजमी होगी जहाँ हर सदी में ये उम्मीद के दरवाजे पूरी इंसानियत के खुले रहते हैं. आज हम यहाँ पे किसी उम्मीद के साथ आए हैं, उस उम्मीद के साथ कि अगर यहाँ पे जो भी हम बातें करेंगे, वॉट एवर थॉट्स वी विल शेयर, इट विल हैव अ प्रोफाउंड इम्पैक्ट, नॉट ओनली द पीपल दैट वी आर हियर बट आउटसाइड दिस हॉल, इंशाल्लाह. सो मौलाना रूमी सेज, बाजा बाजा हरंच हस्ती बाजा, सत बार गर तौबा शिकस्ती बाजा, इदरगाह माँ ना उम्मीद नीस्त, इदरगाह माँ उम्मीदस्त उम्मीदस्त उम्मीदस्त. Come, come, come. Whoever you are, come. Even if you have broken your vows of repentance 100 times, come. Our doors are not the doors of despair. Our doors are the doors of hope, hope, and hope. And Kumbh really opens the door of hope for the entire humanity, कि आप वहाँ जाके अपनी तौबा भी कर सकते हैं, अपने गुनाहों की माफ़ी भी मांग सकते हैं, जिनको नहीं जानते उनको जान भी सकते हैं, और अपने आप को पहचान भी सकते हैं. That's the greatest gift of Kumbh that has given to us Indians and to the world. And let's together keep the door of hope open to the world in the troubling times today. The world is looking at the message of Bharat, which is oneness, as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is one family, and we have to live by it. Every pain, every tear, every life that is lost is part of this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And our leadership and our people, 1.4 billion Indians, carry that message to the world that every life matters. No innocent soul should lose their life. And that's what we learn from our scriptures, from our elders, from our rishis, munis, from the Gorakhnath Man to the Nath Sampradaya yogis to Baba Farid. They were together learning the breathing exercise from each other, and that is our history, that we learn from each other, not despise each other, and that's what the world needs today. Salam, adab, Sat Sri Akal, namaskar. Thank you.
Thank you, Salman Bhai. I think that was wonderful, and it's always fascinating to hear him. I've known him for over a decade, and every time I hear him, I'm fascinated. And this message of peace and brotherhood and oneness that you espouse, I think is the universal message that needs to transcend borders. At least his shrine is one shrine that is universally revered, at least even in this subcontinent where boundaries often divide. Ajmer Sharif is one shrine that actually unites. Well, we have heard different scholars from the religious orders. So now we have someone who is an accomplished writer, and I am sure a very, very accomplished writer. I am sure most people in this hall must have seen a film, Kahani, which is one of the finest movies I've ever seen. And I think what was creditable about that movie was the screenplay. And I think the one who wrote that screenplay. And the story, of course, the story is important, screenplay is important, and I think Adwaita Kala is one of the significant thought leaders of India, and I think I'll request her now to give her opinion on the book or on the subject for 10 to 15 minutes. You can take 5 minutes.
Okay, I think I'm the designated human on this panel because we're in such elevated company. I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a few thoughts of what is a journey, essentially, and a journey at a very tumultuous time in the world. And for all my life, I sort of got name checked for my name, which was Advait or Advaita, And from the age of 2 or 3, uncles and aunties used to ask me, do you know what your name means? And of course, I had no idea then, and I'm afraid I don't have that much of an idea even now. But the journey is on, the seeking is on, and one isn't quite sure where it'll take me or take any of us, really, especially at a time where we are sitting or standing at the cusp of what looks like a civilizational clash, and one that is increasingly, seemingly, driven by differences that center around religious grounding or religiosity or any of those things that are weaponized in modern day discourse and in politics to divide people. So in that sense, I think I come to this gathering, I come to this podium in the hope that I am able to ask a few questions, present a certain perspective, which is still evolving. So I'm not going to be tethered to that in any way, but it certainly is still evolving. And really, it's the time more for questions than for having definitive answers. And unfortunately, we seem to be in a phase where everyone seems to be having more definitive answers than the questions that have marked the wisdom of our ancients and our traditions, our philosophical traditions. So I think that is one of the biggest departures that I see in the present time. Coming to, of course, the subject of our wonderful book, Seeking the Infinite. Maha Kumbh, I mean, it's staggering. I was there last year. I've been there as a child. It was just, apart from the fact that it's the largest gathering of human beings in the world, and everyone has quoted the numbers, 70 crores and what have you, and on Amavasya Moni, it actually goes up to, this time around, it went up to about 8 crores, which is much more than the population of New Delhi on any given day. And getting here, I was stuck in traffic, Delhi traffic, and I said, in the Kumbh, the traffic was so much better organized than even in our everyday life in New Delhi. So that was just something that came to me as I was trying to get here on time. But it's really incredible, and I think I believe in synchronicity also, and I think the fact that you said Nath Sampradaya, you had a chief minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, from the Nath Sampradaya, organizing this mega event and this mega city at the scale that it was something I give a lot of credit to, because I think there is a certain synchronicity which works with these things in terms of making them successful. But, coming back to, of course, there's logistics and there's the experience of it, and you'll hear a lot of those experiences. There were tent cities. There were cities that were set up for people with a lot of money. And then there was areas that were set up for people who had no money at all. And that was in many ways the beauty of the Maha Kumbh, was that irrespective of any kind of external manifestations of stature or material presence, you were treated equally and you were there and everything was accessible to you. And I think it takes me back personally to really what the Maha Kumbh is about. And for me, the Maha Kumbh really represents consciousness and collective consciousness. And I know it's a huge buzzword now because of AI and artificial intelligence, but the fact that consciousness is something that our elders, our ancients consumed, meditated on with such profound commitment all those centuries and thousands of years ago is just mind-blowing for me. That we have actually come through that tradition. And today we find ourselves in an intellectual space, really, where the whole world is actually talking about consciousness, where the anthropic CEO says Claude might be conscious, whatever that means, because we're still trying to figure out what consciousness is. And that, I think, is one of our greatest gifts of Sanatan. And really, our philosophical tradition is that we have had centuries of trying to understand it, while the modern, so-called modern world has only reached that question today. And we've been doing it for centuries. So to me, Maha Kumbh was really that union and that confluence of collective consciousness and its expression in a way that really doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, and reflects on really what the Upanishads really talk about, which is aham brahmasi. I am Brahman. I am one with the consciousness, with the universal consciousness. And to think that the ancient texts already referred to this, already set a blueprint of sorts for us to navigate this Maya jal that we all seem to find ourselves in every once in a while. With artificial intelligence, of course, we're creating a system that can compute, that can do pattern recognition, that can understand a lot of things, that can mimic human emotion, even human understanding. But does it take us to that next level, which is that dreaded question, and I'm sure those on the panels will have a better answer to that than I do, and which is, why are we here? Just what are we doing? Is this it? Is there more to it? Is there more that'll come? I mean, I'm a Hindu, so I believe there will be more lives to get to get this better. But it's really, understanding that who we are, what we are, and why are we here. And then even in that, we have an answer. Our philosophical tradition says, Tattvam Asi. So there's always a simple answer in Hindu philosophy, but it's deceptively simple, because then it again challenges you to question it further. And I think the inquiry continues. The world seems to be increasingly asking the questions that the ancients have. We have a unique perspective. I hope that we hold on to it. We continue questioning it. And Yakub's book in particular was exactly that, seeking the infinite. A man on his 60th birthday, living a very different life in New York City, decides to do something unique and brings a bunch of friends from all over the world to something that can be as crazy as the Maha Kumbh. And instead, it sparks a realization. And I think everyone has those moments in their lives. I'm waiting for mine while I go on about it. But I'm grateful that you had yours, Yakub, and that you were in a position to share it with the rest of us and to really provide us, maybe everyone has their own path, their own blueprint, but certainly some sense of a destination. So thank you so much personally for that. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Aditya. I think I really wonder. She was stuck with the traffic en route, and she said traffic probably at the Maha Kumbh was better. I was really wondering because it took me around 6 to 7 hours to reach airport on a two-wheeler because four-wheelers were out of question. So, we've had fascinating insights from panelists, and now we'll be opening it for all of you. Those of you who wish to make questions, comments, or anything, it's open now. We'll take 3-4 of them and then request the panelists to respond. They are not duty bound to respond to each and every question or comment. They can choose what they would like to respond or comment. Over to you, all of you. Anyone who wishes to have comments or questions, anything. Kindly identify yourself before making a question or comment. I'll be nice. Thank you.
Well, good evening. I'm Manjeet Singh Oberoi. I am Yakub's schoolmate. So, and thanks to him that I'm here. Incidentally, I went to Kumbh twice, not once. So, whatever has been said, I witnessed it very, very in person. And traffic was, as Madam says, yes, it was the way it was, but it was organized. I'm very happy the way it went. The accidents apart. My question is to all these learned people here, which I asked one of the fathers of our school. I asked our dear friend who is no more now, Vikrant Bandula, that भाई एक बात बताए यार, अगर सारे ऑल ये जो सब चीज़ हिंदू मुस्लिम सिख ईसाई whatever भगवान ने ही बनाया है, तो ये आई मीन व्हाई गॉड क्रिएटेड सेंट एंड सैटर्न, भाई सेंट ही बना देते गल खत्म. So you have all these wonderful melas, and you learned people are there, and I've been to Utah myself, elect of 70, the 70th floor. I was fortunate enough to attend a lunch there. So why?
Okay, thank you, Manjeet. Have a seat.
There is a between Christianity, Mormons and others.
Thank you.
Why the dispute?
Thank you. We got your
Okay, we
point.
got the point. More questions, comments? Yeah. Anyone? Who?
हेलो गुड इवनिंग मैम. मेरा नाम प्रिंस राज है और मैं दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी के हिंदी लिटरेचर से भी बी ऑनर्स ग्रेजुएशन कर रहा हूँ. मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जो आपने अभी बोला तत्त्वमसि अहम ब्रह्मास्मि, ये वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम, और हम जब इसको प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में देखते हैं तो हर तरफ अभी अमेरिका ईरान पे बम, तो ये सब जब हम लोग ये थियोरेटिकली पढ़ रहे हैं कि हाँ वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम है, फिर ये हमारे परिवार में इतने लड़ाई हो रहे हैं, तो बड़े बड़े डिप्लोमेट्स इस पे क्यों ना राय लेकर के जो सेंट्स, जो उपनिषद के ऋषि जो शांति चाहते थे, जो लोगों के जीवन में स्पष्टता चाहते थे, वो फिर हो क्यों नहीं पा रहा है, यही क्वेश्चन है. थैंक यू.
So, okay, the question was really for Advaita. I just wanted to, you talked about that we all think like, where have we actually come from and where are we going? And that's the eternal question to which as yet there is no answer, but there are sort of whatever studies and stuff. So I had a thought, and I was wondering if what we need to do now, maybe since we haven't answered the question really, is to understand that we don't need to really answer the question, what are we here for, what are we doing, because we have a mind. So the animals don't actually think about it, like the antelope and the squirrel and the cockroach. They don't say like, what am I here for? We're all God's whatever creation, and we're actually coming out of the woodwork in a way, and we arrive and we end, and I mean, we go to heaven or hell, which isn't important. But it's only a thought that it might be interesting to stop thinking about it, like, what is the big question? Maybe there isn't. It's only a thought. Sorry, it's an odd thing to talk about, but had to say it.
Thank you, Abdullah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Madhu Khanna, scholar of religious studies. Well, first of all, congratulations to the great author. I think you've obviously got a dua of some kind to do such a book. I've written several books, and books don't happen so easily. So my congratulations to you, and of course, adab to all the great authors and to the young journalists whom I met many years ago. Okay, now my question is critical. So I want to apologize before I say it. Of course, it's the greatest show on earth, Kumbh. And when you read the texts, Mahabharata and others, we come to know what is a true pilgrimage. But I think what is happening, because I've been to several Kumbhs from my childhood, what is happening now is that it's getting wrapped up with media and is becoming more entertainment. I'm not saying that people who go there were seeking entertainment, but in one way or the other, I felt that pilgrimage is not an entertainment. It's a pledge that we take to, as Chishti Saab explained, to answer questions, the great questions which have excited our imagination from centuries now. So I think somewhere when we talk of Kumbh, we should not forget the real essence of it, which is of course a search, which is of course going there, knowing the vidhi. Vidhi nishedh, ek vidhi hoti hai, I have seen one of the sights in Kumbh which shook me was where you have a young man carrying his old mother on his shoulders and walking at 4 o'clock in the morning just to give her a holy dip. And so I think there's a lot to learn from the Kumbh. But at the same time, as we are victims of AI and media, we should be very careful about how we are going to organize such great collective congregations in future. And one of the reasons why I want to reiterate to this August gathering, one of the reasons why we have failed, the question that you put, that consciousness is so important, because in India we do not have platforms where we can rediscover our civilizational values. And Chishti ji knows we've been hand in hand trying to put together courses, etc. No government is interested. No, no corporate is interested. They'll give you any amount of money for economics and this and that. Tell them that I want to start a course on dharmic studies. Dharma? Are ye kya hai? So they have absolutely no idea. All our gurus are sitting in the West. America has 60 universities where Hinduism can be learned. India doesn't have a center for Hindu studies even. So I want you to reflect on this. And I think we'll make a better Kumbh if we had centers of learning, centers of excellence. We have hundreds of IITs, but there's no understanding of civilization. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have. So thank you very much for your attention, and I hope some of it will be taken.
Thank you. I think I'll now give panelists a chance in case they wish to respond to any of these comments. I think most of these questions were in the form of comments before we taking the second round of questions. But as I said, imposing something, imposing even values is a problem. Even if it's very desirable, it may be very nice, it may be the best. There are options, there are different views. And obviously there have been different paths, like one of the Sanskrit shlokas says, Ekam Sach Bahuda. There are different paths to the same truth. So that's how we have actually worked. I'll now request the panelists, in case they wish to respond to anything, starting from Elder Johnson, in case he wished.
I will address two of the questions. One is, why do we have discord among religions? And I think it is tied to the fact that we focus on our differences and not our commonalities. And as you look at religions, just as we've talked about today, we have so much that is similar, so many values, so many standards, so many things that we want to do and accomplish in our lives, that if we focused on that, instead of our differences, we would find greater harmony. And I think that's the issue, and that's why efforts to increase interfaith dialogue and peace and harmony are so crucial, because we have to understand each other. We shouldn't be afraid of each other. We should understand the commonalities and focus on those instead of the differences. And then the second one I'll respond to is the one about our purpose, these questions of the soul. And your comment was, we don't really know those answers. We don't find out until we die, I guess, really. And that's one of the challenges of it. But having an understanding or a belief or a feeling about those questions and answers to those give us purpose in life. They give us hope. They give us direction. Individuals that may not find or seek for answers of those questions may be hopeless and may be without value or direction. And so I think the value of those questions and seeking for an answer comes to the hope and the direction and the overall well-being that they bring to us because of the belief that we have relative to those. Thank you.
Adab and Green of Peace. I think I'll respond to, of course, Yakub Saab's classmates जो आपने यही कहा, और जो नौजवान हैं उन्होंने पूछा कि इतने जो मज़हब में सब एक की बात करते हैं, मोहब्बत की बात करते हैं, what is the issue, that why there are discords? I think this very profoundly expressed, of course, the elders, he has mentioned about the issues. To be very honest, I think, देखिए हम अपने faith की बात करते हैं, scriptures की बात करते हैं, हमारे गुरुओं की बात करते हैं, सूफी संतों की बात करते हैं, लेकिन जब उनकी तालीमात पे अमल करने की बात आती है तो मेरे ख़्याल से वहाँ पे कहीं ना कहीं कमी है. अगर हम आदि शंकराचार्य की अभी बात कर रहे हैं तो आदि शंकराचार्य को तो मान रहे हैं, लेकिन उनकी कही हुई बातों के ऊपर क्या हम वाकई चल रहे हैं? बाबा गुरु नानक की तालीमात को हम मान रहे हैं, पढ़ रहे हैं, लेकिन क्या वाकई हम प्रैक्टिकली उन पर चल रहे हैं? जो गरीब नवाज की तालीमात है, वननेस बीइंग की, उसके ऊपर हम चल रहे हैं. तो हम अपने ग्रंथों को मानते तो हैं, लेकिन उनमें कही गई बातें वी आर नॉट फॉलोइंग देम. तो कुरान को तो मान रहे हैं, कुरान की नहीं मान रहे हैं. गीता को मान रहा है, गीता की नहीं मान रहे हैं. बाइबल को मान रहा है, बाइबल की नहीं मान रहे हैं. तो आई थिंक इफ वी रियली फोकस ऑन द एसेंस एंड द सोल of the word which has been transcend from generation to generation, it hold the key by practically walking the path, not just talking about the faith and religion. And if we walk the path, then a lot of misunderstanding, lot of differences and lot of distances will also evaporate. जिस तरह मैंने कहा कि बाबा फरीद की खानका के अंदर नाथ संप्रदाय के योगी आते थे और एक दूसरे से वो ब्रीदिंग प्रैक्टिसेस सीखते थे. सो दिस इज़ नॉट समथिंग अ न्यू एक्सपेरिमेंट दैट विल बी डूइंग इन टुडेज टाइम. दिट हैज़ बीन डन ट्रेडिशनली सेंचुरीज आफ्टर सेंचुरीज. एक दूसरे से सीखते थे, समझते थे और आगे बढ़ते थे. What is happening, again, the question of media which has been raised and also Abdullah Sahab was mentioned, I think the whole issue is now that हमने एक दूसरे से बातचीत करना बंद कर दिया है. We have stopped talking the way we used to interact before this digital ages and the AI. Now again we are again disconnected in terms of talking to each other. And जब तक हम वो बातचीत नहीं करेंगे तो हमने अपने अपने परसेप्शन बना रखे हैं कि भाई फला शख्स का नाम ये है, वो यहाँ से है, उसका फेद दिया तो वो ऐसा होगा. So these stereotyping imagery which has come as a baggage of the past few years or a decade, I think that's what really keep us away from really interacting. हो सकता है आज जब हम बात कर रहे हैं, आज हम एक दूसरे के बारे में सुना था, जानते थे, लेकिन जब हमने दिल से दिल की बात करी तो आज हम एक दूसरे को बेहतर समझ भी पा रहे हैं और हो सकता है कि क्यूरियोसिटी भी हो कि वी शुड टॉक मोर, अंडरस्टैंड ईच अदर मोर एंड लेट्स वॉक टुगेदर दिस पाथ ऑफ फेथ एंड सर्विस टुवर्ड्स ह्यूमैनिटी. दैट विल रियली ओवरकम the lot of challenges. And of course जो मधु जी ने बात करी, we have talked about this earlier also. There was a time that in our land, of course, there was no academic institutions where we could do, let's say, a PhD or honorary doctorate into Hinduism or let's say Sufism. But I think now that the revival of Nalanda University, the revival of BHU, I'm like, the initiatives have been started. So when we talk about the Hindu philosophy, there are places where we can extend and learn the aspect. And also when we talk about the Kashmir universities, you can do your PhDs in Kashmir University on Sufism or Islamic studies. And likewise in South India, you can do in many major faith religions. So that has been changed. And we hope and pray that it grows more, inshallah.
Just very quickly, I think for me, from that perspective, as the world has become increasingly interconnected, we have easier ways of traveling, we have the internet, which helps us connect with people, all of these things which are relatively new in terms of the human existence. What has also increased correspondingly, and to some surprise of many, and to mine certainly, is this idea of this tribalism that also seems to be growing. The more advanced we sort of claim to be or assume to be, more increasingly are we reflecting aspects of the kind of tribalism that you would attribute to a less evolved human being. And this tribalism is really what creates most of the conflict. It could be tribalism which comes to ideology, to faith, to gender, to sexuality, to anything. This tribalism is almost weaponized. And those consequences of that weaponization is really what we're seeing happening in the world today. And unfortunately, what that leads to is also focusing, like the elder said, much more on differences as opposed to commonalities. And sometimes you get into conversations and I realized in the Hindu faith, for example, you don't have any word for sin, right? And sin is such, in the Abrahamic faith, sin is such a big aspect of their moral guidance. So, you can zero in on these things and say, oh, there's so many differences. How do we lead our lives when there are such profound differences? But on the other hand, the one thing that I've noticed, and I'm no great religious scholar, but certainly one commonality that I've noticed is the idea of, again, consciousness and soul. And that exists with all of us. So why can't we reframe this conversation, not from all of these other aspects, but from that of the soul? Ruh, soul, Atma.
I would add just one more point, Alok Sabha, because we just saw the beautiful ashram of Swami Chidanand Maharaj Ji. I want to share because this is very relevant to the questions which have been asked, because that stereotyping जो हम देखते हैं ना, I've spent a week, मैंने एक हफ्ता प्रमाद आश्रम में गुजारा है वहाँ पे ये इंटरनेशनल योगा फेस्टिवल के वक्त, और मैं बड़ी खूबसूरत बात बताना चाहूँगा, जब हम वहाँ होते थे शाम के वक्त, जब गंगा के घाट पे आरती होती थी, वही वक्त होता था मगरिब की अजान का। तो एक तरफ गंगा की घाट पे आरती हो रही है और वहीं अजान हो रही है मगरिब की, वहीं हम अपनी नमाज भी अदा कर रहे हैं गंगा की घाट पे। आई थिंक दीज आर द विजुअल्स एंड दीज आर द प्रैक्टिकल एस्पिरेशंस ऑफ हिंदुस्तान, हमारे भारत देश की तरफ से, जिसको इस दुनिया में इसकी बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है। एंड इट इज़ आवर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, अगेन आई एम रिपीटिंग, इट इज़ आवर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एज इंडियंस दैट वी हैव टू शेयर दिस विद द वर्ल्ड टू रियली डिजॉल्व दिस क्लाउड्स ऑफ डिस्कॉर्ड एंड वॉर एंड वॉट एवर वी सीइंग, एंड दैट इज़ रियली ट्रबलिंग आवर हार्ट। आज जब ये सवाल आ रहा है तो कहीं ना कहीं दिल पे बात लग रही है कि ये सब नहीं होना चाहिए। तो ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि जो हमें अमानत मिली है, जो सेक्रेट ट्रस्ट मिला है हमें हमारे बड़ों से, हमारे माँ बाप से, हमारे बुज़ुर्गों से, हमारे गुरुओं से, हमारे टीचर से, उस मुकद्दस अमानत का हक हम अदा कर रहे हैं या नहीं, ये सवाल हमें अपने आप से पूछना है।
A lot of questions have been asked, and Madhu, I'll try and answer your question. I've heard a lot about you through my friend Moksha Priya, so I'll make an effort. So all these universities, colleges I went to St. Stephen's College, I learned no economics. So I learned life, you know. I went to school, I learned life. So I was like a shadow to Mother Teresa, right from my childhood. And I used to ask her very innocent questions. Mother, where is God? She said, son, it's in the eyes of the poorest of the poor. And as I evolved in life, had my journey, I was very impressed with the faith, Sikhism. And I saw that they served people. So this whole question of seva was very much dear to my heart. I come to India. I've been out of India for 40 years. I used to come here 4 times a year. Now I come 3 times. My body is weak. It's not easy. And my family very rarely comes because they don't have a calling. My soul is here. And it's largely for seva. So for me, this India is a civilization. It's not something which is 300 years old. It's 5,000-6,000 years old. And in that civilization, there are certain great religions born here, whether it's Judaism was safe here, Christianity, I'm a Syrian Christian, we came here, one of the earliest Christians in 51 AD through St. Thomas. So many have evolved with the sadhus, the gurus, the saints. So in our life in India, gurus were considered godly. Seva was considered godly. Our parents were considered godly. So America may have 5,000 universities teaching religion. They don't have a soul. There's a soul missing. In India, I come to find my soul. They have hard work, entrepreneurship, and you are given a fair chance, not once, many a time. I salute my adopted country. I'm a proud American, but a prouder Indian who considers my motherland, my Dharma Bhumi, very, very special. So creating universities and all can create, like the degrees that we've created in this country. How many graduates without jobs? I don't know what the unemployment official rate and unofficial rate. So when you go through this life, the main thing is, how do you handle, like my wife knows a lot of religion. All I know is religion is not a bad thing. It is something which gets divisive when you say mine is better than yours. So, having said that, then it becomes a question of power. So this whole concept of sin, somebody talked of sin, is a creation of the Christian church. It's created so that you feel guilty and you go, Father, Father, I confess. And the Father says, I forgive you, man. You'll go straight to heaven next time. So where is this heaven? So this whole journey has to be understood as something which is how you get realized, how do you get evolved, how do you get understanding that heaven or hell is in your head and you do it right. So you don't need major religious institutions being created here other than the same old things which are gurus and our Vedas and our Christianity, which was here in its own way, Parsidom, Islam, etc. They have enough of things to have given us, our parents. So that is one question. Second one was my classmate, Manjeet Singh Oberoi, a dear childhood friend. He says, how do you become over a period of time, saintly. Is that what you asked? Saints and others. So I always say something on that, is that every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. So nobody is saintly, nobody is a sinner. We all are very human, and in that humanity is what binds us human beings together. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have the next round of questions and comments. Please be brief, Shantanu Mukherjee.
My name is Shantanu Mukherjee. I'm not a religious scholar, and it's not a question directed to you, but sharing some thoughts about Kumbh. Background being security, and I'm very fortunate to have been born and brought up in the city of Prayagraj. And since 1954 till date, I have never missed a bath in the Kumbh. And on Makar Sankranti as well as Mauni Amavasya, these two always. So I thought that I would perhaps be saluting the author for this wonderful magnum opus and wish all the best. Other thing, very fortunate that sharing, again, I'm not directing any question, is that I'm in my 76th year. And when the Kumbh happened, I was 75. I thought it was very difficult for me as a physical challenge to go and take a dip. But suddenly, a much retired person, and I was requested by the government of UP to go and hold hand of the police officials there and brief them. I was responsible, incognito then, to brief all the police officers how to organize it. You saw the traffic and everything there. I'm not taking a credit. This is the divinity and the magical strength, the divine strength of Kumbh. Was so destined that from infancy, I had been regularly reading about Kumbh. And after that, I was ordained to go there and oversee that, for which I was felicitated later also. Last point, sir, I'll be very brief. That somebody, Bill Clinton, had once said about one of the wonders of the world, there are two types of people in the world, one who have seen that and one who have not seen. I would say it is for Maha Kumbh. The world is divided into two, one who have seen, one who have not seen. I have seen and so have you. I would request the veterans here to exhort and urge the younger lot to go and come to seek infinite, not only from the great book, but also in person, not only about the arrangements, the saints, the discussion, the feeling. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Please be brief. Yeah.
Yes, I'll be extremely brief. Hello, everyone. I'm Devyani Kapoor, and an ex-principal and academician. And of course, an author by, again, default, Yakub Mathew. Amazing, incredible journey, because I know the thought is easy to come, but putting the book together is difficult. Since Salim Chishti Saab touched upon something which, being an academician, was very, very close to my heart, as I'm working closely with the youth and witnessing the kind of identity crisis, the purposelessness, the being devoid of well-being. This is the scenario that they're facing. And if I may take the liberty to try and read the room, we all here are, barring the children who are working in operations and the interning in logistics, we are all above 40. This book and two references that were made by Sri Sri Swami Chidananji, and he said that he was, at the age of 8, he was driven by the concepts of consciousness. And then I had Mr. Yakub, who says, very early he remained in the shadow of Mother Teresa. These were very fortunate people. My question to you is that what is that one directive or suggestion you would give to the institutions, academic institutions, to develop this kind of consciousness among the youth and the crisis that we are facing today? Thank you so much.
नमस्कार सभी को, और आप सभी को, मैं आप सबसे जो है, जो चेयर पे बैठे हैं, उनमें छोटा हूँ, ज्ञान में भी छोटा हूँ। ये मेरे मन के विचार है, मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकता। एक्चुअली मैं एक सोशल वर्कर हूँ, समाज सेवक हूँ, चाहे जानवर हो चाहे इंसान हो, मैं उनकी मदद करता हूँ। तो कभी कभी मेरे मन में सवाल होते हैं क्योंकि जो बड़े बुजुर्गों से सुना है कि जो लोग हैं जो कर्म करते हैं अपने कर्म का फल भोगते हैं। तो जो लोग अगर परेशानी में हैं तो क्या वह फल भोग रहे हैं, और अगर हम उनकी मदद कर रहे हैं तो भगवान के काम में बाधा तो नहीं डाल रहे। ये कभी-कभी मुझे ऐसा लगता है, मुझे लगता है मैं समझा पाया हूँगा आपको, तो इसके लिए अगर कुछ हो तो थोड़ा मेरा मार्गदर्शन करें।
It is believed that every man pays the consequences of his actions. So I am a social worker and I help people, animals and humans. So I only feel that by doing so, I hope I'm not going against the divine ordination, which actually is, I think, whatever is the consequence of their actions. That's the question that is there. I'll now request the panelists and the author to take just 1 minute each. Sorry, I think there is a foreign diplomat. She has a question, so I'll give it to her from Kenya. So let her have it.
Good evening, everyone. I've attended most of these sessions and really enjoy the conversation and the dialogue. For today's discussion, there's one thing I've had most of you discuss about religion, but I feel from a simple point of view, people forget easily that the fact that a family unit to the greatest extent determines your religion of choice. Because if you come from a family that is Christian, as a child, as you continue growing up, when it comes to family respect, you will never, ever get out of Christianity. If you're Hindu, you grew up in Hindu, born in a Hindu society. Getting out of Hindu is not that easy, even if you grow up to become a mature, an adult who can make their own choices. So I believe to some extent, people forget their past. That's why you become judgmental. You feel maybe another religion is not worth it. You feel yours is much superior than the other. But at the end of the day, when you sit back and think about it critically, none of these religions is superior than the other. Everyone believes in a God, in a superhuman being who provides what they would wish for and what they believe in. So if you walk that journey of being spiritual and you concentrate on that, you will come to a realization that you will never think about religion. All you will have in mind is harmonious existence of everyone. Yes, that's my opinion.
Thank you. I'll now request panelists, they could just take any point which they wish to comment on. Take a minute and just anything that you wish to say.
What I heard is two concepts that are very crucial in the world right now. One is the rising generation. That's what we refer to them as, the youth that are coming up. And the other is the family. And it's crucial that we build strong and vibrant families where we have parents who teach appropriate morals, and they need to teach their children that everybody has the right to worship as they please, and they need to talk positively about other religions. That understanding is developed in the home. I agree with that. In terms of the rising generation, we need to help them have expectations of who they are and who they can become, and we need to have them sense some accountability, if you will, to become the people that we need them to become to lead our societies. That's my brief response.
जी आदाब, आई थिंक दैट्स अ वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. आपने जो बात कही कि वन एडवाइस, आई थिंक जब भी हमारी बातचीत होती है इंस्टीट्यूशंस के साथ, मैं सबसे पहले यही बात कहता हूँ कि तमाम जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं, ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स, टेल देम दैट यू नो मेक योर वर्क योर मेडिटेशन. सबसे पहली चीज़ ये है, हम चाहे स्टूडेंट हों या टीचर हों. I was invited in Ahmedabad at the Gujarat Law Society by Sudhir Nanak. These are the 5,000 lawyers, young lawyers who are going to graduate at the graduation ceremony. मैंने उनसे एक बात कही कि आप जब ग्रेजुएशन सेरेमनी के बाद यू विल वेयर द ब्लैक कोट, देयर विल बी पीपल, फैमिलीज, इंडिविजुअल कमिंग टू यू शेयरिंग सम ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एंड मे बी डार्क सीक्रेट्स जो उनके घर वालों को भी नहीं पता होगा. तो ये आपकी जिम्मेदारी भी बनती है कि सिर्फ आप उनको एक क्लाइंट की तरह ना समझें. व्हेन यू मेक योर वर्क योर मेडिटेशन, जब आप अपने काम को अपना मंत्र, अपना जिक्र बना लेते हैं, तो उसमें दुनिया में भी कामयाबी मिलती है और दुनिया के बाद भी कामयाबी मिलती है. आज हमारा भारत देश जो विश्व गुरु एक ज़माने में जाना जाता था, आज हम उसका प्रयास कर रहे हैं. तो व्हाट वाज दैट वन पावर that we were acknowledged as the Wish Guru? Was it the economic power? Was it the military power? Was it the, any kind? The one thing that was important was that whatever we were doing in those centuries and ages, we would connect it with the आध्यात्मिक power, जो हमारी spiritual power है. अगर विज्ञान की भी तरक्की हुई है, तो वो आध्यात्मिक power को साथ में रखते हुए है. अपने आप में विज्ञान आगे नहीं बढ़ा हमारे भारत देश से. तो we have to connect the spiritual aspect of whatever we are doing. आज हम जब इबादत करते हैं, जिक्र करते हैं, तो सिर्फ माला को हाथ में लेके ही जिक्र करना नहीं है, मंत्र पढ़ना. जब हम अपने काम को अपना जिक्र बना लेंगे, आज आलोक साहब हैं, इंडिया फाउंडेशन में सेवा कर रहे हैं, बट मैं यकीनी तौर पे कह सकता हूँ ये उनका मंत्र है, ये उनका जिक्र है. अद्वैता जी के हाथ में जो कलम है वो भी उनकी माला है. और जिनके पास अच्छी आवाज़ है, याकूब साहब ने जो लिखी किताब, दैट वाज हिज मेडिटेशन, नॉट जस्ट हिज टैलेंट और समथिंग टू अर्न. और इवन व्हेन वी आर टीचर्स, इट्स नॉट दैट व्हेन वी आर टीचिंग वी आर जस्ट रिसीविंग द पे चेक. इट वाज मच मच मोर देन what we were in the past. And today it's important that जो भी हम काम करें उसको अपना जिक्र बनाएं, and the students and the teachers both have the responsibility कि जब दुनिया में जाएं तो जो करें अपने जिक्र में उससे उस ऊपर वाली कुर्बत भी मिलेगी और दुनिया में सुकून भी मिलेगा. और आपने जो सवाल करा था ना, कि देखिए जो आपने सवाल करा, बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल है. आपने ये नहीं सोचना है कि आप उस ईश्वर के काम में कोई खलल डाल रहे हैं. ये आपका कर्म है जो आपको मिला है, ये ड्यूटी आपको ईश्वर की तरफ से ही मिली जो आप कर रहे हैं. तो जिनके लिए कर रहे हैं उनका वो कर्म है, और आप जो कर रहे हैं वो आपका कर्म है. सो कंटिन्यू टू व्हाट यू आर डूइंग अ गुड जॉब, यू हैव बीन चोजन टू सर्व एंड कंटिन्यू टू सर्व.
Just want to thank Shantanu ji for sharing his experience, and it really goes back to my point of synchronicity, and this is an audience in which I can talk about this, because otherwise people say it's all woo-hoo, but no, there is something to it. The fact that a little boy went on to handle such a sensitive thing, and I have to give you credit. We didn't see any kind of violence or terror or any of the things that were expected. 75-year-old to take on this task. I'm sure you had a large team, but even then, thank you so much. And keep collecting the karma points, huh?
Extremely brief. There's a song, "We Are the World, We Are the Children." So, in the end of it, don't try to change yourself, don't try to change the world, just change yourself. Be the world you want to see. That's basically, you make a better world and a better neighborhood. And this journey helped me to discover my country, my people, my community. Thank you very much.
And in the end, I think it is for me to thank all of you for taking time out and being here. In fact, that shows the popularity of Yakub. Of course, our programs have always been full, but I think it's credit goes to him and to the wonderful panelists that we have. And I hope you all keep coming and attending our programs. Our next program is on 27th March, where we'll be discussing the ongoing Gulf conflict. So we'll discuss the Gulf conflict, which maybe by then,
Yeah,
I
just be
hope
seated.
so it's
Just be
over,
seated.
but I don't think so.
Yeah, just be seated. We're just going to call a few people to hold this book. We have a group photograph. Kaveri and Sauresh, when I did my vote of thanks in the beginning, we missed you, Kaveri, Sauresh, Jyoti, and of course, we have our pilgrims, Nilima, Moksha Priya, Sachit, and my dear friend Anjum Nath. Please come up. And then there's one person here who has been very dear to me, and whenever I feel low, he motivates me. Sudhanshu Mittal, please come up. And my dearest friend, Meenakshi Lekhi, has always been sort of a friend who has walked with me. So please come up, we'll hold the book. And of course, Sanjeev Dua, I can't thank you more. Just come up so that we hold these books.
So requested to join us for tea outside after the event. Thank you so much.